All right, next one is around regulating metabolism. And this system is, again, surprise, surprise, going to involve our friend here, the hypothalamus and the anterior pituitary. So, again, hypothalamus, anterior pituitary. All right, so when this, again, the communication between these two places here, the hypothalamus and the anterior pituitary, again, is facilitated through, let's get the right, there we go, is facilitated through another releasing hormone from the hypothalamus and impacting the anterior pituitary, which goes on to release TSH. Let's write that in there. Thyroid stimulating hormone. And that goes on to impact, so that is released by the anterior pituitary, and that goes on to impact this guy here. This is the thyroid. And just to be absolutely clear, this is out of your textbook. They do a great job actually explaining this, but there is sort of two parts to this. We're talking specifically about the thyroid, but on the thyroid, there are also the second set of glands here called the parathyroid glands. Now, that's going to come into play for a different system, but just to let you know, we're looking here at the thyroid gland, all right? So the thyroid gland then releases thyroxine, or you might see it written as T4. And thyroxine goes on to impact a number of different tissues. What did I just do here? Oh, let's put that back. Thyroxine goes on to impact a number of different tissues, and they're sort of conveniently placed here. The kidneys is one, muscles, heart, and thyroxine also involves, it will impact the liver. Now, all of these tissues are going to be important as we sort of ratchet up metabolism and increase aerobic respiration. They will play different roles in all of this, and just to let you know how these four tissues are impacted by thyroxine. Now, you'll notice if we go back and look at this, we can say that thyroxine is, or T4 is, it's another great example of a non-target hormone, simply because you've got your kidney tissue here, you've got muscle tissue, you've got cardiac tissue there in the heart, muscle tissue there, you've got liver as well, and these are just different organs, and this T4 will impact those tissues. And so this is, again, another great example of a non-target type of hormone. Thyroid stimulating hormone, on the other hand, TSH, is an example of what we would call a tropic hormone. And this is something that just goes from the anterior pituitary and stimulates the release of another hormone from the thyroid gland. All right, the moment you've been waiting for. What is the negative feedback in all of this? Well, it is going to be thyroxine, or T4. And T4 is going to impact two tissues, and you can probably guess which ones. First negative feedback loop is going to take place here. Let me just be specific. There we go. That was my very messy attempt at trying to show you the anterior pituitary. And the other place where it is going to go back and have a negative feedback on is the hypothalamus. So there it is. That is how this all works. And one thing I did forget on the other one is the disorders that come about because of this. So what happens if there's something wrong with this negative feedback system? And let's say in this case, let's say this is unable, this negative feedback mechanism is unable to control the release of thyroxine, and as a result, you have excessive amounts of thyroxine in the body. This would be a case of something called hyperthyroidism, where you have a lot of thyroxine present and the inability to really control this. The result of this, though, if you think about it, if you look at the different organs that are impacted by thyroxine in the first place, take a look at the kidneys, take a look at the muscles, the liver. These are all things, like I said before, it's there to help support an increase in aerobic respiration. And if your body is unable to dial that back down, you're going to have issues with swelling of muscles. You're going to have irregular heartbeat. You're going to have weight loss because your body is breaking down tissue in order to generate more ATP. Because basically this whole system is trying to create more ATP, and it's going to start going after tissues in order to have that happen. This increase in energy, cycling around in your ATP, can lead to things like anxiety, insomnia. And so you can start to see it kind of makes sense when you look at these organs and think about, here we go, hold on. When we start looking at these organs, what happens when we start to lose control of the ability to dial this down. So the negative feedback loop is very important, and you can see that it's one of these things that we need to be aware of. All right, I hope that helps. That is metabolism.